Broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Here's your host, Andrew Romanella.
Okay? Like, just get the hell out of here. Nobody cares what you think if you're not a Mets fan.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Rome Show, broadcast live on YouTube, Twitter, X, and Instagram. I'm your host, Andrew Romanella, and boy, do we have an exciting and special show for the people today. An exclusive interview with current Savannah Banana, Frankie Moscatiello. We had a chance to sit down with Frankie a few weeks ago and talk about his latest venture, being drafted by the Savannah Bananas, his 8 years of professional baseball leading up to becoming a Savannah Banana, and what to expect when he is a Savannah Banana. This exclusive interview only on the Rome Show can be found on youtube.com/the Romanellas. That's youtube.com/the Romanellas. Head over to the YouTube channel, hit subscribe, and do not miss a Rome Show in the morning. We broadcast every day, Monday through Friday, 7:05-ish. here on youtube.com/the Romanellas, or Twitter, X, and Instagram. That's the Rome Show 1. That's the Rome Show, then the number 1. Make sure to follow the social media. And finally, the OG social media site, facebook.com/the Rome Show. Frankie Moscatiello was a 2018 graduate from St. Thomas Aquinas College, my alma mater as well. The lineup card that sits behind us in the Rome Show studios. During Frankie's time at St. Thomas Aquinas, he helped his team reach the College World Series, was the pitcher of the year in the conference, was an All-American, and amassed a 20-7 record, 2.52 career ERA in 232.1 innings pitched, and 225 career strikeouts. After cementing himself as one of the greatest Spartans of all time, Frankie signed a professional contract with the then Rockland Boulders, now New York Boulders, of the then Can-Am League, the now Frontier League, which catapulted him into an 8-year professional baseball career that saw him amass a 37-17 record with a 4.04 ERA, over 400 innings pitched, 418 to be exact, and a career 535 in the strikeout column, which is absolutely ridiculous. I don't care what level of professional baseball you play, over 500 strikeouts is absurd. Frankie was taken in the most recent Savannah Banana, or I should say Banana Ball draft, to the Savannah Bananas for the upcoming 2026 season. We sat down to talk with Frankie about falling in love with the game of baseball, becoming a professional, the grind that it takes to be a professional baseball player at the minor league and independent professional level, what it's like getting drafted by the Bananas, what Savannah Banana baseball is all about, what the entire operation in Banana Land is all about, and so much in between the lines in this 35-minute interview exclusive here on the Rome Show. Remember, subscribe to the Rome Show anywhere: YouTube, Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook, and do not miss all of our content. All right, enough with the pleasantries. Let's get bananas, ladies and gentlemen, and hear from current right-handed pitcher of the Savannah Bananas, Frankie Moscatiello. Welcome into a Rome Show exclusive interview. I'm Andrew Romanella, and I am amped to be joined by current Savannah Banana, 8-year professional baseball player, Frankie Moscatiello. Frank, thanks for joining the show today, man.
Hey, what's up, Ron? It's an honor.
So, Frank, let's get started with the early portions of your career because I see you're wearing your Savannah Bananas jersey and you're getting ready for first season as a banana. But I'm sure a lot went into your career to get there. So, on a general form, can you just give a little bit of rundown on Frankie, where he's from, and kind of how he started to fall in love with the game of baseball?
Yeah, sure. So I'm from Long Island, New York. I've been here my whole life. Went to Rocky Point High School. Was a 4-year varsity starter. After high school, I went to St. Thomas Aquinas College, where we first met. 4-year starter over there. Then after some pretty cool things in college, All American, pitching in the College World Series, going out to Grand Prairie. I went undrafted. Then after my senior year, I went and I started to play independent professional baseball. Um, I ended up playing 8 years of independent professional baseball from 2018 to my last year was this past season in 2025. Played every I played in the Can-Am League. I played in the Frontier League. I played in the American Association. I played in the Atlantic League. I played a little bit in Mexico. I was lucky enough to go out to the Dominican Winter League for a little bit, which was an unbelievable experience. And then after 8 seasons, I was introduced to banana ball, and just with seeing it all over social media and then finally doing my own research to kind of find out what it actually is and what the hype was about, I kind of fell in love with it, and then I went through the process of becoming a banana or joining Banana Land where, a buddy of mine hit me up and he was like, "Hey, I'm going to this tryout." And I was like, "You know what? Like if you're going, like you played some high level baseball, why not? Why can't I go?" So I decided I'm going to send in an application. The process was crazy. Felt like it took forever, but it was really quick. So I sent in a application to say, "Hey, like I want to go to your tryout." And from there I had to get accepted.
He had
There
to
might
work
have
for it.
been, yeah, there might have been a couple other ones too that I'm missing, but those are the ones that I remember. So they said that there was over thousands of applications, that wanted to go to the tryouts. So after I sent in my resume, my application to go to the tryout, they told me, okay, you could go to these two tryouts. They told me you could go to either LA or Dallas. And I was like, okay. So me and my dad, we took a quick 3-day trip out to Dallas and I went to the tryout and it was a blast. It was different, because when we got there, the first thing that we did was we got on a line and we did a dance, and they were
That's
like, "All
great.
right, this is an icebreaker right here," and it's funny because in the tryout form that they sent to us, they're like, "Listen, like, if you're nervous about dancing, think about it this way: you could be making all this money, you could be influencing all these fans and having a great time. And think about if you were to turn down an opportunity like this just because you were scared to dance a little bit in
Right.
front of people,
It's a great point.
So, I heard that and I saw that and I was like, you know what, you're right. Like I'm not like someone who does that, but when you got a bunch of people around you that want you to do well and they want to make a really good product, the game with you, and they're going to support you, it just, it all makes sense. It's cool because I feel like everybody is on the same team. Everybody wants each other to succeed, because in independent ball and the minor leagues, I feel like it becomes a job because there's that higher, possibility. And in order to do that, you got to be the best one out there, but with the bananas, everyone just wants to put out a good product for the fans, so if we're all working together, we're all supporting each other and we're all doing it like as one, it stays as a game instead of a job. At the end of the day, baseball is a kid's game and it's supposed to be enjoyable. And sometimes in the minor leagues, even in college, sometimes in college, minor leagues, professional baseball, like it just it becomes too much of a job. So after I sent in the application to go to the tryout, they accepted me to go to LA or Dallas. I went out to Dallas and we had the tryout. You know, we danced, we did trick plays. They said, all right, go,
Awesome.
you know, we're going to do batting practice. Like, go out there and just entertain us. So we're all running around the outfield, catching the ball behind our back, you know,
That's
through the
sick.
legs. It was so much. It almost felt like it was a bunch of dudes just like playing a pickup game in the park,
Like
you know,
Sandlot,
because there was exactly
but as
there was no
adults.
rules. Yeah, yeah, because there was no rules. Or like just have fun, you know. And something that they told us was, you know, we're here to entertain. Like, there's guys that do backflips and catch the ball. They're gonna try to throw the ball between their legs, and the success rate is not 100. You know, because it's difficult. You know, I mean, in baseball, even the most basic plays, you know, sometimes there's errors, you know. So you could imagine in banana ball, there's probably going to be more errors than in regular baseball because of the trick plays. So they told us, they're like, listen, like, you got to get used to people failing like behind you know, because if the shortstop tries to catch a ball between his legs and it bounces off his foot, you know, it's the runner's on base.
But
But
they
you got to
want
just
that because they would
exactly,
rather you mess up the trick play, but it be entertaining to the fan, right? Than
absolutely,
make the play and throw it to first base because it's pure entertainment first.
absolutely. And that's their whole thing. Their company is called Fans First LLC. You know, and the way that I always describe it is they always said that in order to have a good season, you know, the best seasons aren't the guys that bat 400. It's not the guy that has 0 ERA. The best seasons are the guys that influence the most fans and make the game the most enjoyable. And, you know, the way I look at it is how many like 10-year-old little Timmies and Jimmies are going to go to the stadium, point at me and say, that's my favorite player.
Right.
You know, that's how I look at having a good season. You know, how
That's a
many
great point.
kids can I make fall in love with the game? You know, how many kids can I make fall in love with, you know, watching me dance or pitch or whatever I'm doing out there? You know, it's supposed to be fun. You know, it's entertaining. And, you know, Jesse Cole, the yellow tuxedo guy, he he says we're not in the baseball business, we're in the entertainment business,
Sure.
which is, I think that's really cool. And that really puts banana ball into like perspective because, you know, there's always a lot of people that are like, it's not professional baseball, it's real baseball. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's not, you
Yeah.
know, it's not real baseball, it's banana ball,
But it's
you
not
know?
supposed to be real baseball, Frank, right? And so,
Exactly.
like, can you dive into that? Because you just mentioned it. Like, you felt like pro baseball for 8 years. You have 535 career strikeouts. Like, that is unbelievably impressive. So, your professional career is legitimate, but something had to draw you from, man, I don't know if this is as much fun as this could be. And though you just said it, it's not quote unquote real baseball. It could be better in some ways. It could be more entertaining, but it's not meant to be. So could you talk on how what that excitement is for you to go from that feeling of, man, am I going to get another track? Am I going to survive this? Even though I'm really good at this thing to, man,
Hmm.
I'm just so excited to entertain people.
Yeah. So, I mean, there comes a point in everyone's career where baseball comes to an end, you know, where just finances aren't, you know, cutting it, you know, with independent ball, minor league baseball. Everybody knows about how much of a grind that is. And that was the part that was like tough for me to like think about because, you know, when you think of banana ball, you're not really sure what they're looking for at the tryout, you know? Because when I was there, I had 2 pop-ups and 4 strikeouts. So with the strikeouts, I'm not sure if they want that. You
Right.
know what I mean? Because with strikeouts, yeah, strikeouts are cool to the, you know, baseball eyes, you know, but
It's not
in
action.
banana ball, yeah, nobody's gonna be, you know, doing flips and fly balls or catching the ball between their legs, you know. So that was the part that worried me a little bit. Um, but I mean, once I did my research on what banana ball was, I was like, this seems like such a cool thing. And it seems like exactly what I should be a part of, you know, because in 2023, when I was with the Capitals in the Frontier League, I was relief pitcher of the year and I was also community player of the year. And I've always been a guy that, like if there's kids camps or if there's appearances around the city or anything like that, I'm always the first one to say, "Hey, I'm in," you know? So now with that being a priority, I feel like why wouldn't I want to do that? You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
because there's times where, you're in the bullpen, kids come over, "Hey, can we have a ball or can you sign this for us?" And we got to be like, "Oh, we can't do that right now. It's during the game. Let's wait till after the game." Sometimes the kids leave before the game ends. And to me, like, I feel bad, because we were all at that point one day,
Oh
so
yeah.
if I'm not able to give that kid an autograph, then to me, it's like I just upset that kid and wasn't able to I wasn't able to make that kid happy, you know? And if they're at a baseball game and in their eyes, we're superheroes.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I remember going to Ducks games when I was little because, I'm from Long Island and I thought those guys were superheroes,
Sure.
and in my eyes, when I can't give out a ball or I can't sign an autograph, I feel bad, So now, as a relief pitcher in banana ball, I was told that there's a possibility that for the first half of the game, I'm going to be walking around the stands,
It's great.
you know,
That's so cool.
hanging out with the fans, seeing kids, all that fun stuff, interacting with the crowd.
Yeah.
And then, I can go out there and be like, "Hey, look, like I'm gonna go pitch in 2 innings, so look out for me. Here's an autograph,
Yeah.
watch out for me."
That is
And then
so
that's how
cool.
you grow a following and that's how you grow fans,
So,
you know?
Frank, let me ask you this, okay? Because it really does sound like, like think about it, reliever of the year in 2023, community player of the year. What'd you win? 3 championships with the Quebec Capitals in your
Yep.
time?
3 championships.
So you do all of those things and you still don't find yourself to affiliated baseball. Like, is there before the Savannah Bananas happened, is there a moment of like, screw this sport? Like this baseball's stupid. I'm over this. Or was there always like Frankie was driven to be that guy?
Yeah, so I mean, there I feel like every day, I went out there and I was like, is it even worth it anymore? Because, at a young age, having a successful career and still not getting the opportunity, as you get older, it just gets more and more difficult, So it almost came to a point where I was like, I think I'm just playing just because I love the game. There's always every day you put on a jersey is an opportunity to get seen and move on.
Sure.
But the possibility gets smaller and smaller and smaller, you know? So, as I was moving on to, different teams and, just continuing to pitch, I did have those moments, and like I said, after this past season, I wasn't sure if I was going to play baseball, because I was like, all right, I'm going to be 30 in March. You know, I, I gotta fill my bank account. I gotta start
Oh
working.
yeah.
Like this living life isn't cheap. And independent ball and minor league baseball, it's not it's not realistic. You know what I mean? So, like you said, I have over 500 strikeouts, 3 championships, all that stuff, and I thought that my career was pretty successful. So I was like, okay, maybe I didn't make it to where I wanted to be. Maybe I didn't, make it to the major leagues. But, I got to play 8 years of professional baseball. Some might
And
say
not
it
many can
is. And
say that, Frank.
yeah, some might say it is professional baseball. Some might say it isn't. But, I played 8 years of independent professional baseball. I got to meet some pretty cool people. I got to go to some pretty cool places. I spent 4 years in Quebec City. I got to go out to the Dominican Republic and stay at Casa de Campos, out in La Romana, which is the nicest place I've ever been. Um, I got to go to Mexico for a couple spring trainings and winter ball, which was a great time. I played all over the U.S. and it just came to a point where my baseball career just might have been coming to an end. And so I saw this opportunity and I was like, this could be the next step, and whenever we were kids, we always had those, what do you want to be when you grow up? And all of them, it's like, I want to play for the New York Yankees. And, it's not the same thing, but this year I get to pitch at Yankee Stadium. We played 2 games at Yankee Stadium in front of sold out crowds, so I get to have a bunch of my family members there. We have a group ticket sales that they send to us for the highly requested areas. And because I live in New York, they were able to give me a couple extra tickets.
Ooh.
So I have 100 people coming to the game, all Frankie fans, and it's going to be a great time.
I might have to get myself on the Bananas wait list for that one, Frank, because that sounds awesome.
That wait list is so insane because, it just shows that the Bananas are the coolest team in baseball right now.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lottery list, and there's 4 million people waiting on it.
It's ridiculous, man.
There's 4 million people waiting on it. And I was talking to someone the other day, and they were like, yeah, if I wanted to go to that Bananas game at Yankee Stadium, I can't get tickets because it's sold out. They're like, but if I wanted to go to see the New York Yankees in June, I could get tickets whenever I want.
You're good.
You're not going to have that sold out day that you can't get tickets, and, Yankee Stadium is just one of the big league parks that we're playing in. We're going to play in Anaheim. We're going to play in the Texas Rangers Stadium. We're going to play in Colorado, which is super cool. And, one of the other super cool things is we don't only play in baseball stadiums, and I think that's what I'm most excited about because, I dare you to find another person that said, hey, I pitched at Gillette Stadium.
Right.
Or
that's ridiculous.
I pitched at the New Orleans Superdome.
Yeah.
We have a game at University of Tennessee, and we're playing at their football stadium.
That is awesome.
And it was announced the other day that we actually sold out their football stadium. And we sold 101,000 tickets.
That's wild.
There's another group of Banana teams. I know it's the Texas Tailgaters, and I don't know who they're playing against. I want to say I don't know who they're playing against, but they're playing at Texas A&M, and they sold out 102,000 tickets.
Insane, man. That is so cool, Frank. Like, I got to imagine when you're thinking about, like, what am I most excited about when I report in 2026? One of them just has to be where you're going for most of these games, no?
Absolutely, because, like I said, there's not many people that could say, oh, I pitched at Gillette Stadium or I pitched at the New Orleans Superdome. But there's a ton of people that could say, oh, I pitched at Yankee Stadium. Oh, I pitched at the Colorado Rockies Stadium. I pitched in Anaheim.
Yeah.
There's local high schools that, they play their state playoff games at big league parks, but now we're selling out Yankee Stadium and there's going to be 60,000 people there. We're selling out New Orleans Superdome. We're selling out, the Tennessee's football field for 101,000 people.
Yeah.
I think the most people I've ever played against or played in front of is probably 12,000, 15,000 maybe.
Ruckus Canadians screaming their faces off.
Those fans were awesome.
They're the best, man. Awesome. We'll have to do a whole nother show, Frankie, on the Quebec Capitals fans, because in my 5 years in the Frontier League as a bench coach, I talk to people about this. To this day, I'm like, yo, if there's a city you go to in Canada, it's got to be Quebec City because that area is the best.
Oh, it's awesome.
All right, so Frank, let me ask you this. Obviously, the locations are cool. Obviously, you're about to go into your first year as a Savannah Banana. By the way, the yellow looks fantastic on you. It really does look well. All right. So here's my question. Like, what's the training look like? Okay. So like for 20 years, you did bands and plyos and you worked on pitches. And right now I see your Instagram, you're throwing stuff behind your back. Like, talk to us about changing your training routine to go from can I throw 100 and strike as many people out as possible to can I be as entertaining as possible?
So training is kind of the same, but it's also got its differences. I'm still training to throw 100 and strike everybody out because that's just what I want to do.
It's in the DNA.
It's yeah, you can't take it out of me. So, but it's almost like I'm making my training more fun. Where I'm catching the ball between my legs, or it's not like I'm not treating it like a job.
Sure.
I'm treating it as, oh, that's cool. I threw the ball, I catch it between my back. I was like, oh, let's practice that. That's entertaining. And I told one of my buddies who's a trainer, and I wanted him to write out some workout programs for me. And I know how to do the whole baseball training and, get myself ready for a season. So I told him, I was like, hey, man, I want you to get me jacked. I want you to get me strong, but I also want to be healthy enough to throw the ball 100. And we have like this power building workout program, and, it's more of like power and aesthetics with also like the baseball training part.
Sure.
So that part is a lot of fun. But the throwing is just, I think throwing's throwing, and it's funny because like, I think this is the most fun I've had training and throwing in a while.
That's cool.
Because I always treated it as a job, and I was like, oh, like I'm throwing a bullpen, like if this stuff isn't working, then I'm mad at my training. But now it's like, all right, like if this stuff isn't working, I'll try something else.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing that says that I have to do like normal pitching stuff. I could figure out a way to make it work on that day.
Whatever it is that makes it more fun, it sounds like, is what you have to put into your game. All right, Frank, a few more minutes out of you, then I'm going to let you go because I'm sure you have to work on some backflips or some nice dance moves or some juggling of the baseball, which is very exciting. I have yet to go to a Savannah Bananas game. You're giving me, obviously things change when you start to know people, right? But just being able to talk to you and get a little bit more of an in-depth thought process into the way it goes is very cool. And obviously it's a lot more fun to know somebody in the uniform. But Frank, I gotta be honest with you. If I forget to say this before our interview ends, I am so excited, man, to watch you perform. Ladies and I've been fortunate enough to be watching Frankie pitch in 2017, which is wild. I was fortunate enough to be on the coaching staff the day that he signed, though I wasn't allowed in the room, which is messed up. We'll bring that up with Keith later. But either way,
you did give me the phone call, though.
Yeah, that's right. Which I got to be honest with you, Frank, that was my favorite days of my. I still talk about that.
I remember that day because I was on my way to throw in a men's league game, and I saw you call me, and you're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I'm going to pitch. I'm going to stay ready." And you were like, "Well, do you want to be a Boulder?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "So should I turn around and not pitch today?" And you're like, "Yeah, don't throw today." I'm like, "All right." I was like, "Should I go buy pants?" And you're like, "No, Frank, we're going to give you pants and everything. Like, just show up."
So good.
I was like, "All right."
Oh, Frank, I got to be honest with you, man. It's one of my, and I've never in my entire career, and you think you know this by now, I don't take credit for people becoming professionals. That has nothing to do with me. Maybe I have a phone call here or there, somebody calls me or talks to me about somebody. But what was so beautiful about you, Frank, and everyone deserves to know this, people, Frankie was so good in college, like so good. Just to give you an idea, 20-7 record in 4 years at St. Thomas Aquinas College, 2.52 RA, 32 innings pitched, and 225 Ks, my guy. You were filthy. And yet, when you got out of college, obviously you didn't have the opportunities you wanted, but you had this like grace and fun about you that like I remember telling Jamie, I was like, listen, this kid's gonna ask some questions where you're gonna be shaking your head like, is this serious? But he's gonna be so much fun. He's gonna work so hard. And I think, Frank, 10 years later, whatever it is, I think that's the reason why you're going to be a great banana, just from my vantage point, because you have this charisma about you, bro. That's like so entertaining to be around. So for that to be the story of how you first signed, and now 10 years later, you get to fan first entertain 100% of the time. I got to be honest with you. I've been being entertained by you for over a decade now, and I'm happy the rest of the world gets to witness this, bro.
I appreciate that. And, everything happens for a reason, like if I did get that call on draft day and go out to the minor leagues and, maybe I get hurt, maybe I don't enjoy baseball the way I enjoy it. I believe that everything happens for a reason, and, sometimes you'll never know what that reason is. But if you just trust it, trust the process, then, everything's going to be all right.
Dude, that's such a great line. And I hope if there are some young kids out there watching, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of eyes on you in the next few months, this is somebody that not only you want to be a role model for you, I'll toot your horn, bro, but on top of that, I mean this honestly, I think that's what the kids are going to see more of from not just you, but all the bananas, the party animals, the Loco Beach coconuts, like at least from my side of it. And I know you're about to be fully entrenched in it, but talk about the guys and the energy and the people around it. Because don't you think, Frankie, enjoying your job is as much about the people around you as it is you doing your own job?
Oh, absolutely. And, I haven't met all of the guys. Like, I haven't met anybody in person yet because
Okay,
we're all over the place.
sure.
But we've had a phone call. Some of the guys reached out through text message just to introduce themselves. We've had a bunch of FaceTimes as a group, and, it's like I said before, I think that one of the biggest difference between the team here in Banana Ball compared to a minor league or a independent league team is everybody wants to see everybody succeed. We're not competing against each other to be the better player. We are competing with each other to make the product of our games and the entertainment the best that it could be. Because we're not trying to get another contract to go to the big leagues, or we're not competing every day to, stay on the team. Obviously we do have to do well, and we have to be a role model and, follow what we're supposed to do. But as a group, we do it together and we all root for each other, and it's still competitive, but it's like whenever I think of like this type of competitiveness, it reminds me of the way that me and Cepeda used to go back and forth with each other.
Sure.
Me and him, we were best friends and we grew up together. But so he would start on Friday or the first game of the doubleheader, and he'd go 7 innings, 1 run, 8 Ks, and I'd be like, all right, now I got to go 7 innings, 9 Ks, or I got to go 6 innings, no runs, or, and I never wanted him to do bad, but that was just like me and him pushing each other to be, like just one up each other.
Yeah. And enjoy it and having fun doing it.
Absolutely. Me and him had this thing where he would come off the mound. I'd walk up to him right away. I'd give him a fist pound and I'd give him a cup of water, and he did the same thing for me. And we did that all the time, and that's the type of support that, everyone needs, and that's what I feel like Banana Ball is going to be like. We're all going to be supporting each other. We're all going to be having a good time. We're going to be entertaining the fans, and, it's almost like a big party, and I'm super excited.
As you should be, Frank. All right. Give us the timeline here before you get out of here. You report, I'm guessing, in January. When's the season start? And when can people officially see Frankie in his Savannah Bananas uniform?
So I'm going up a little bit earlier. I'm going up the first week of January just to get used to the area. And, I got some stuff to do over there. But we report mid-January, I think the 15th. We have our first practice is the 19th. Our first, scrimmage is the 29th. Our first game is at State on February 25th. I want to say. I think I'm opening up at the football field.
That's awesome.
So, first game, boom, football field, 110 feet to right field.
That is so awesome. Hey, it's like you said, man, entertainment, bro. Someone might be hitting a ball out of that entire stadium.
Yeah. That would definitely be entertaining.
So February 25th, we could possibly see Frank for the first time in the yellow.
Yep.
And that is exciting. Okay. So Frank, I just want to thank you, man, obviously, for your time here today. Can you, though, before we get out of here, because I know the social media matters, can you please plug yourself, make sure that people know where to follow you, and you do all of your contractual obligations to make sure that we let the Bananas know that we're locked for them, all right?
Yeah. So on Instagram, it's at Frankie_Moss. And right now that's all I got. I don't post on Twitter or anything like that, but if I make a TikTok, it's gonna be the same thing, Frankie_Moss, and everything is gonna be documented this year. I'm working, trying to figure out what my content's gonna be. It's gonna be a lot of working out, a lot of baseball, a lot of golf, so it's gonna be a lot of fun.
I got to be honest with you on the golf thing, okay, Frank? Because I've hit a whole new level this year. All right,
Okay.
I played like 40 to 45 rounds. I've gotten my handicap down to a 10 or a 10.5.
Wow.
So if you're looking for any golf content where hopefully I wouldn't ruin your image here, I'll be glad. I'll fly to Georgia if you need me to. I'll be glad to be involved in your golf content. Maybe we could do a little, one baseball coach teaches professional baseball player how to attempt to play golf, little YouTube series.
Teach me how to golf, because
dude,
sometimes the ball goes straight, sometimes the ball doesn't.
I will go on record saying this, and people that okay, have heard me say this and know it's true. So I'm not lying here. I think I'm the best person to play golf with if you are learning the game. And it's not because I'm so good, because that's not what I'm here at all. I think it's more or less like that's the one place, Frank, where my aura and my personality, like it like works. Like if they made a Savannah Bananas of golf, that would be my forte, I think.
Well, I'll tell Jesse about that. I said, I'll tell him, hey, you want to get a banana golf going? And
hey,
you'll be the first one I call.
Dude, that's what I'm talking about. And you know what? Maybe I should start turning my microphone into something that Yellow Tux Jess will be like, yo, we got to get this guy involved because that's electric. Dude, Frankie, I mean this honestly, bro. From a personal standpoint, I obviously am so appreciative of getting the chance to talk to you about this. I've been watching your career for a decade now. It has been so much fun to watch you get better and better and better and succeed, and watch all the people that didn't believe in you start to freaking believe in you, which is so awesome. And then furthermore, bro, I wish you the best of luck when you get down to Banana Land. I will be watching as many games as I possibly can. And believe me, I know in my heart of hearts, you are going to be one of the most entertaining people there, just because you are built that way. So congratulations and good luck, bro.
I appreciate it, Romo.
Hell yeah. Frankie Moscatiello, Savannah Banana. God, I appreciate him. Thank you very much for coming on, Frank. That was awesome. Thank you to Frankie Moscatiello for taking the time to join us on the Rome Show, talk about the Banana Ball Tour, talk about becoming a Savannah Banana, his grind to become a professional baseball player, and everything in between. You can check out Frankie and the Savannah Bananas coming this February to a TV near you. Make sure you are subscribed to the Rome Show on youtube.com/the Romanellas, the Rome Show 1 on Twitter, X, and Instagram, the Rome Show on Facebook. Again, thank you, Frankie, for joining the show. We look forward to watching you in Banana Yellow and Blue. I'm Andrew Romanella. This is the Rome Show. You have an electric day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.
Thank you for listening.